Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans. Excuse me, from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Monday, December 12th, 2022. Just 13 shopping days till Christmas. Well, actually, Christmas Eve is 12 days away. And if my math is correct, 19 days left in 2022. What a time to be an ECSI VIP that we're on one of those epic runs. 25-6 our last 31. And yesterday, unfortunately, 2 out of 3 on our action parlay. And the sad thing is we hit them all but the closer. Ravens plus 3.5. We bought a full point there, and the money line plus 115. Bruins money line and Bruins puck line plus 160 come in there. And then we had over 145.5. UMass Hofstra. Hofstra was a no-show. And we had 4 potential payoffs, all totaling, I don't know, about 2,500. But it is what it is. But again, what a way to start the week. Good friend, colleague from the beautiful Sunshine State, Florida, where I wish I was right now. Hopefully, maybe we'll plan a January tiptoe down there. Maybe you can catch a Panthers or a Heat game with this guy, the one and only Mr. BDB at Beating the Book.
Good morning. Do you and Matt ever bet against the Bruins? I mean, I don't think I've ever heard.
I can honestly tell you this, Rob, in full disclosure, that is the 3rd time I have played the Bruins this year, and that's the first time I have played on them, and the other 2 times I played team totals against their opponent at the Garden.
Yeah,
I have stayed far away from the Bruins. I don't usually play the Bruins. I'm sorry. I have played against them once, against your Florida Panthers. Thank you. And we cashed 5-2, I think, on that one.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Panthers are struggling a little bit right now. We just need to, make it. Losing to Seattle last night at 5-2. I mean, I think Seattle's pretty good this year, but we just smoked them 5-1 out there. Can't come back here, lose 5-2. Luckily, I gave my seats away to one of my friends for the game, but Panthers need to make a move. Fire Paul Maurice, get him over with already. The guy's a total loser. And hopefully they get rid of him soon before he destroys his team, game by game.
I'll start there for a second. An amazing run in the regular season last year. Struggles in the playoffs. I mean, there's only one cup winner. There's only one East champion. Slow start. And look at the Bruins got out hot. A couple other teams are playing real well. An overview like you're seeing, I mean, the season's not over, obviously, but do you think, especially for Florida, a coaching change is definitely something that they might need?
It's not what they might need. I mean, it's what they need. I mean, look, regular season doesn't really mean anything. I mean, in hockey, the NHL especially, regular season, home ice doesn't really mean much. I mean, President's Trophy doesn't really mean anything. I think when's the last time a President's Trophy team won the Stanley Cup? I think maybe the Lightning finally, like a few years ago, but before that, we saw when they broke the NHL record for most points, they lost in the first round to the Blue Jackets. So, I'm not really concerned about the regular season. As long as you make the playoffs, you're fine. But I mean, when you take a President's Trophy team down to just 500 after 25, almost 30 games is kind of troubling. Plus you look at Maurice, how he left Winnipeg, and that Winnipeg was mediocre. Now Winnipeg is having their best year in a while without him. he took over a team with talent, and now they're worse. So I mean, I just think the guy's not a very good coach. I don't see why they got fired. They fired our coach from last year. So they need to make a change. Will they? I don't know. The GM is like it's like kind of like a hard head. He just does things his way. He doesn't really care. Like there's no way like Sergei Bobrovsky should be starting at goal right now, but somehow he still is. So the GM is just going to do what he's going to do. The president's going to do what he's going to do, and they're stuck with Maurice. They're probably too cheap to pay the buyout, so I'm not really sure. I wouldn't think he has a huge buyout to begin with, but they need to do something because it's just not working, right? Like fans are starting to boo at games. Last year we didn't hear any boos the entire way. Now fans are starting to get restless. Losing to garbage teams, they're playing well against good teams. The Bostons, the Carolina Hurricanes, stuff like that. But they're losing to crappy teams. So I think something needs to be done. And if I was the GM president, I'd fire Paul Maurice today. But we'll see what they do. But I can tell you, like, talk to a few of the players, that they're not happy with the stuff they have to run right now. The offense they have to run. He's not letting them take nearly as many shots that they took last year. When we led the NHL in shots, highest scoring team in the NHL. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. Nobody knows.
Tomorrow, World Cup. We gave out Argentina. I think we got them at plus 800 before the tournament started. We got Messi to win the boot at plus 900. They're pretty decent favorites. And then on Wednesday, France, outside looking in, you would assume, what happens when we assume, Rob, you would assume it would be a France versus Argentina. France will be favored. How's the World Cup been treating you? And what do you see happening on Tuesday and Wednesday?
Yeah, I had a rough start to the World Cup for the first couple of weeks, but last week we won every single day. So that was a nice streak. I'm not ready to, I think this World Cup has proven to be anything but predictable, right? Like this Final Four, Argentina, Croatia, Morocco, France. I don't think anybody saw Morocco or Croatia. Croatia, I can kind of see a path, but Morocco, no chance. Morocco's going against a hot Portugal team, and they beat Portugal. They shut Portugal down, which is they shut them out, which is pretty tough to do. And they're just playing a suffocating defense right now. Argentina, it's like I don't really. It's weird how Argentina plays. I feel like Argentina is like not a great team, right? I think what we're seeing in this World Cup is there's not really there's no great team, right? Like there's no, when the Germans blasted Brazil, right? Years ago, Germany was a great team, right? Just hammering teams, just destroying everybody. We don't really see that this World Cup, France got by like on a Harry Kane missed penalty kick. So it's just been a very average World Cup, I think, especially as a viewer. There hasn't really been any crazy games that you'll remember, years from now, stuff like that. So it's been a blah World Cup. But I would think you would have to go with France at this point. France, as much as I don't like France, I don't want them to win. You got to say, like, at this point, you got to go with France because Mbappe, Griezmann, they just have a very good team. So I'd probably go with France the rest of the way, but you never know, especially against Morocco. You don't think Morocco has a chance, and somehow they walk away with the win. So, we'll just see what happens.
I had it on in the office, and it was kind of comical. Argentina 2-0 lead late, so you're like, all right, well, at least we got to the Final Four. We'll take a look at the numbers and figure out, if we need to do anything prior, or we're just going to hold on to it and assume France gets there. And next thing you know, it's 2-1, and then there's 10 minutes of extra time, and then in the 12th minute of extra time, the 12th, not the 11th, not the 10th, the 12th, they score the tying goal, which I still to this second think he was offsides. I mean, the guy was in front of the ball by 10 feet and it goes in. And miraculously, as soon as it goes in, then, it's over. And then again, as you were talking about, penalty kick. So, I was I didn't buy the chalk with Brazil. They were a wagon. I wasn't buying looking for some value. I am not a soccer expert. I go back way back to Pele when I used to watch soccer, but I don't follow it, and especially the Prem League, where some people just like yourself, you love soccer, you're very, very successful at soccer. What turned you on to soccer, Rob?
Listen, I like the Premier League 100 times more than the World Cup, right? I mean, the teams are just better, right? We got to pull. I mean, Manchester City, they would probably destroy France, right, in a head-to-head. What turned me on to soccer was, I don't know. I've been playing it for so long. I would probably, I'm not a big. I like to watch Premier League and Bundesliga, but I'm not a big watch soccer guy. I just like to follow along the game, like live scoring and stuff. I think it's good for those Tuesday mornings in February where there's nothing going on, and you can bet some soccer in South Korea, and it gives you something to do, kind of like KBO was. But personally, I like to I wake up early. Nice. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I go to the gym, so I like to follow like that 5 a.m. South Korean soccer, K-League soccer. So that's really how I got into it, and I feel like when you have I think, as a general, I think soccer is a lot easier to bet. It still has cold streaks like any other sport, but I think soccer is easier to bet and to avoid cold streaks because, on a Saturday, you'll have 1,000 games scheduled in soccer, right? And you just have to find 5 of those games where you can take advantage of a line, something you think is off, or, something you think is in your advantage. You just have to find a handful of those on a Saturday, or as opposed to, say Saturday NFL, right? There's, 14, 15 games, and you have to find, so it's easier to find the mistakes when there's 1,000 games on the schedule as opposed to 15, 20 a day, because odds makers, realistically, they can't make efficient markets for 1,000 different games on a Saturday. So I think soccer is a lot easier to take advantage of, especially those low totals like 2. I like to take, games where the first half is a half goal, 1. You just get 1 goal. I mean, you're in the clubhouse. So there's a lot of easy spots where you can take advantage of. The World Cup is probably the hardest for all those because, these teams are playing, defense like their life is depending on it. Whereas in the EPL, teams might, slack off a little bit on defense. They're not playing with the intensity on defense like they are in the World Cup. So I think it's just an easier market to beat than most markets, and it's certainly easier for parlays. You could do a 10-team over 2 goals parlay and have a chance any day in soccer, whereas you can't parlay 10 teams overs in the NFL. It's probably not going to happen. Maybe 1 week out of the year, but I just think it's a less efficient market, and I think that that's where people can take advantage. And people always counter with it like, well, I don't like to watch soccer. Like, soccer's stupid. I don't like to watch it. It's so boring. You don't have to like soccer to bet it. You don't have to watch it. You can just follow the score and stuff. And I do have fun following the score. Watching the scoring updates come on Bet365. 30 seconds before it happens on TV. So I do like it for all those reasons. So soccer, it's definitely grown on me over the years. I wouldn't consider myself a huge soccer fan. Like U.S. men's national team, I could care less about, right? If they win or lose, I don't care. It's great if they win, great for America. If they lose, whatever, I don't really care. I don't really get caught up in the, being a fan of any team like that or anything. So I'm just there to bet, and watching it or caring about it, I don't really care. It's all about the money. So
Exactly. And as you said, there's so many games, and it's in a good time of year, a good spot where you can capitalize
it's
on
nonstop. It's nonstop. So when COVID first started, right, I had even KBO stopped for a little. I still had Nicaraguan soccer going full time. They never stopped. Nicaragua didn't stop their soccer until basically FIFA said, like, hey, if you don't stop playing, like, we're gonna we're not going to sponsor your country anymore, nothing like that, right? And then I had Belarus, and Belarus, FIFA told Belarus, like, listen, stop playing because COVID's too dangerous, or we're gonna, penalize you guys. And basically, Belarus was like, "F you, we're still playing." So became like a Belarusian and Nicaraguan soccer expert. Basically, I can name every team in Belarus pretty much, and it's kind of crazy. Like that's how I know these countries just from like their soccer teams. So they kept us going through COVID really. So, I'll always appreciate them for that.
That was the big scramble. What were we going to do once, I was sitting in the office and halftime of the Big East game at noon, and that was it. They pulled the plug, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? And I didn't get into the soccer. I didn't get into the ping pong. Ping pong was a huge scandal going on back then.
I didn't do that either. I think the worst thing I bet on was like video game simulations. Actually, I did pretty well, but it's the dumbest time period. I mean, when we look back on it in 20 years, 30 years, it's been the dumbest time period, in the history of civilization. So that's how it will be remembered. I just can't believe some of the stuff that we did. Just makes absolutely no sense. But that's for another discussion, another day. But yeah, soccer. I mean, it's here every day. That's why I like it pretty much.
Got some breaking news last night. Our star producer, Kiefer, also sent me a tech. Thoughts and prayers going out to Mike Leach. I don't know the exact story. I'm hearing massive heart attack. It was looking, they said, supposedly, maybe potentially Blake last night. I have no idea, but thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. An amazing guy. I just love following him wherever he's coaching.
Yeah.
I love his press conference. He's real. He speaks right from the heart, no sugarcoating. So thoughts and prayers are going out to him and his family. Hopefully he pulls through and back on the sidelines next year. Rob, we talked last Monday about the Final Four. We still have a couple weeks to go. I'm just looking at the spreadsheet now. Michigan down to a 7.5, and Ohio State and Georgia is now at a 6.5. Still just sitting back waiting, or have you seen anything that you're starting to say, maybe there's some potential there?
I mean, I like Georgia, and not just because I'm wearing this Georgia hat. I'm not a Georgia fan. I mean, I just like the hat. I have a billion hats, so someone will probably think I'm a Georgia fan. I have Alabama hats right over there too. So I like Georgia. I think they're just too physical for Ohio State. We saw Michigan just out physical Ohio State. In their final game of the year, just ran through their defensive line, dominated their cornerbacks. Right, like JJ McCarthy. For me, JJ McCarthy is he's a mediocre quarterback. He's kind of like Penn State's had all those quarterbacks. All the years that. They don't have really big arms. They're like tiny little guys. They can move well, but they're not really strong. Kind of reminds me of that. And he was just lighting them up through the air, right? Long routes, just beating their cornerbacks, stuff like that. And I think Georgia is just 5 times that physicality, 5 times that speed, right? So I think Ohio State's in trouble, especially because Ohio State hasn't had a game since then. So that sour taste is still in their mouth. So how are they going to react the first time Georgia busts like a 15-yard gain on the ground, or Brock Bowers, catches a pass out in the flat and they've got to tackle him and he stiff arms 3 guys and takes it 30 yards. So how will they react then? Not really sure, but I definitely think Georgia's got the coaching advantage over Ryan Day. I mean, like Jim Harbaugh said it best, Ryan Day, some people are just born on third base, right? Urban Meyer hand-picked him to take that team over, and he hasn't done anything with it. So, I think Georgia's got all the advantages right there. As far as the other game, I mean, it's an interesting matchup, right? I could see it going either way. Like I could see TCU. There's cases, you can make for TCU winning, right? I mean, we saw Michigan struggle this year at times with with teams, like Illinois. I struggled with, I think, Rutgers for a while. A bunch of different teams for quite a bit. That was Maryland that nearly beat Ohio State. But Michigan. I mean, it just like which Michigan team's going to show up, right? And I think TCU can score with anybody. So if it was like 8.5 back to 9, I'd probably take TCU again. At 7.5, I don't really see myself taking them. But the closer the game gets, I'll probably make some decisions. But for that game, I'm still pretty much undecided. But I definitely like Georgia in the other semifinal.
As you were just talking, they opened up Miami and Buffalo 7.5 right now. Buffalo juiced to obviously the Dolphins catching the 7.5 minus 113. I'll be 100%. I was trying to wrap up the week and try to get ready for this week. Had the game on the background. I fell asleep.
Yeah.
I had Tua in a couple big spots in our last week of regular season final for high stakes fantasy football. I think he started 3 or 4 for 17. I mean, and his misses weren't even close. So you're right down the road from South Beach. Give us a hot take. What's the temperature right now on the Dolphins? What the hell happened last night? Knowing the fact that, again, now you got to travel to Buffalo to boot next week.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins are just struggling right now. I mean, the Tua's got his starting tackles out. Obviously, that's a big loss right there. So he's kind of when he's taking the snap, he's kind of worried about where is the the rush coming from and stuff like that. And that's very understandable when you're playing the San Francisco 49ers, right? Like, you have to worry about the Bosa coming for you. You have to worry about that defensive line the 49ers have, just wrecking your day, right? Whereas I think the Chargers, one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I was kind of surprised, that we had a lot of drops to start the game. I mean, the Dolphins had a lot of drops to start the game. And I think, they just never really got going. And what the Chargers did is they just put, Tua likes to throw down the center of the field. So they just put a lot of guys in the zone in the middle of the field. And still, guys were still open, but he just kind of wasn't getting the time to make these throws. They were getting a lot of pressure on him and stuff, but I think it's inexcusable. The Dolphins, they should have won the game. Their defense played well enough to win. So I thought they should have won, but the Chargers had twice the amount of plays as them. I mean, Justin Herbert threw it 51 times and to 22 times for Tua. So that's just not really acceptable right there. And it's a long road trip. They stayed out there. They stayed out in California after, all week after the Niners game. I'm not sure that helped. Now they go to Buffalo. I mean, they haven't won at Buffalo since 2016. So, the last few times at Buffalo, they lost by 15 points. October last year, they lost by 30 with a chance to make the playoffs. 2 seasons ago there. So Buffalo's pretty much dominated them in Buffalo, and it's going to be a tough game for the Dolphins because it's the third game of their road trip. Right, they're missing both their tackles. The Bills, the Bills are kind of banged up too with Josh Allen. The Bills aren't really playing that great. They didn't play that great against the Jets, but they, their defense dominated the Jets. The Jets couldn't do anything. And now the Dolphins go there on it's going to be cold, could be snowing. They're going there on the final leg of a road trip, a long road trip to West Coast, all the way to, nearly Canada. And now the Dolphins are going to go against a team that they beat earlier this year. So now the Bills, so the Bills, the first game against the Jets, right? They just kind of didn't even show up, right? They just assumed that they would just win the game, and the Jets caught them. So this time you could tell their defense was healthier, and the defense really put the emphasis on beating the Jets. Unfortunately for the Dolphins, I think that's what the Bills are going to do. They're getting an angry Buffalo team playing at home who wants revenge against the Dolphins. So I mean, I don't know if I'd lay the 7.5 as a Bills better, but I would definitely tease the Bills to like minus a half point, right? Maybe put them in a money line parlay because I just don't see the Bills losing this game. I think maybe the last 2 games have laid the blueprint to maybe take care of this Mike McDaniel offense. The Dolphins, if they win, it's definitely a great win. But I think the Bills will be hungry for revenge, and I think that's just the worst thing the Dolphins could possibly ask for.
I 100% agree. A few weeks ago, we were talking about a Bills team who hadn't won a divisional game. They had lost, as you said, to the Jets and the Dolphins. Next thing you know, they beat the Patriots. They beat the Jets yesterday. In come the Bills. I'm sorry, in come the Dolphins on Sunday. And also what scares me is it'll be mid-December now, and go to Buffalo. It's going to be cold. The wind's going to be howling most likely. Probably could be snowing. Who the hell we know? And the accuracy of Tua. I watched him yesterday, and now we're talking. He was in L.A. here. Beautiful LA weather. I mean, this is where he was supposed to shine. The under-over was at like 55 by kickoff. And here again, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
I think playing indoors. I think playing indoors kind of messed them up because early a couple of players lost the ball in the lights and stuff. And I mean, Tua, he's still, even with this, he's still the number 1 accuracy in the NFL for a quarterback. So he's not. It's not like it's week 3 and he had one good game for accuracy and he skews the results, right? He's proven himself last year that he was very accurate and this year. So I think it's maybe just playing in the dome, stuff like that. They weren't used to, but we'll see when he goes to Buffalo, back outside, stuff like that. So, we'll see how they play, but I don't think if the Dolphins lose to Buffalo, it's obviously not like a bad loss, right? Just, don't get blown out. I think they still have like a 78% chance to make the playoffs. So, I mean, the Dolphins pretty much control their own destiny.
Tonight, 8:15, rotation number 127, 128. The New England Patriots travel to Arizona. Currently seeing, actually, I'm gonna say it's down to 1.5 now. There was a couple 2s in some spots, but it looks like overnight some Arizona money came in. 43.5 on the total as well. Patriots play tonight and will stay out there, and they play at Vegas on Sunday against their OC of for a long, long time, Josh McDaniel and the Raiders. Any thoughts about today? Any props? Any first-time TDs? Anything that you're kind of chomping at the bit for tonight's NFL game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kyler Murray is a total fraud, right? He's always seems to always be fighting with his teammates, stuff like that. But just Arizona's really playing for nothing at this point, right? They're not a playoff team. They're just not very good. The Patriots are playing to stay in the playoffs, right? They want to have a chance at winning the wild card. But the Patriots, it's almost like you just don't know which team's going to show up, right? Like, are they going to? Is a team that played Minnesota going to show up that was driving the ball up and down the field, or is a team from last week going to show up where they can't even pick up they're struggling to pick up a first down, right? So we just really don't know which Patriots team is going to show up. But I definitely, if I have a bet this game, I'd probably take the Patriots because it's just like Bill Belichick versus Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury's like total amateur hour. He's a college offensive coordinator, right? He's never won anything. Kyler Murray he's won the Heisman and stuff like that, but he's never won anything. He's just not a winner. So I think when the going gets tough, the Patriots are a much tougher team, and they're still playing for something. And I think the Patriots, I believe the Patriots offense plays better on the road this year than at home. I think they average like 3 or 4 more points a game on the road as opposed to home this year. So if I play this game, I'll probably play the Patriots, maybe their money line minus 130. But I see it a win. They're down to -1 actually. So I haven't done any first touchdown scores, but I mean I'll take a look right now. I'd probably take like a tough one. For the Patriots, it's always a tough one for the first touchdown score because they always spread it around, right? Like they have like there's no like one guy that they really emphasize. I'd probably go with DeAndre Hopkins like plus 700. Um, if I'm playing, in Arizona, I think Arizona, sometimes they come out and have a couple good drafts, start the game, then they fall off, and yeah, I'd probably take Hopkins, plus 700 because Murray. I think Murray definitely needs to get on Hopkins' better side because we've seen they've been arguing, back and forth lately during games and stuff. And I think if he wants to win him over, he needs to maybe throw him some more passes. So I would sprinkle Hopkins at plus 700 on DraftKings.
I'm going to close it out here, Rob. All week this is the last lob that I've been throwing everyone. And I was, when the news broke, I was happy. I was glad. And it's kind of funny to see all the, I don't want to say naysayers, but the negativity being thrown at this. And so, again, you're right in Florida. You're right in the center of all this. Give me your thoughts on the Deion Sanders hiring. Obviously, I don't think you were surprised. We all knew that there were people knocking on the door. We all knew Jackson State wasn't going to be his last stop. Colorado obviously isn't his last stop. Will it be the SEC? Will it be, eventually trying to get back to Florida State? But give me your thoughts on Deion Sanders.
Well, I mean, before we talk about the SEC, we have to talk about can he make the jump from HBCUs to the Pac-12, right? So if he has success in Colorado, a school that's been losing, perennially for the last almost like since they had Cordell Stewart, right? Like just been losing every single year. They had some great matchups against Nebraska, like in the Big 12 championship, years ago, right? Those games were fun. Can Colorado get back to being that team? It seems like maybe they're starting to care about football again. Like they realize, like, listen, like the Hurricanes, we sucked so bad for so long. We're going to go sink some money in this program, see if we can bring it back, get some interest in the school, stuff like that. So can he win there? I'm sure he's going to get players just because, a lot of players, they want to play for Deion Sanders and stuff. And he went 13-0 at Jackson State, right? And I mean, I don't know what they were before he got there. But I would assume that, I think he lost one game in 2 years. I don't blame him for leaving because, you read about this stuff where he had to feed the team by himself. He had to pay to feed the team out of his own pocket because the school wouldn't give him any money to feed the team for bowl games and stuff. How the school would keep the school president or whoever, they would keep the money from the bowl game and not share with any of the team, not with any of the coaches. They wouldn't give him any money to pay for coaches, to keep his coaches and stuff. And he said that was the most important part, that, to be a good coach, it's all about his assistant coaches. So I don't blame him for leaving. I think he should have left. I mean, every coach wants to leave. And people that say, oh, he sold out the program and stuff like that, it's, they sold him out. They should have, tried harder to keep him. Don't steal money out of his mouth. But the football team was making, they were supposed to share season ticket revenue with him, I saw. They weren't doing that for a couple years. So we really don't. They could have stolen millions of dollars from him. We just don't really know. So I don't blame him for going to Colorado. But can he win there? I mean, we'll see. I'm not really I don't really. It's tough to see. To convince somebody to say, hey, don't go to Alabama, come to Colorado. This year, we're gonna be an up and coming power. I think it's a tough sell for those 5-star recruits. I think they'll get a lot of kids in the transfer portal, stuff like that. Not sure they'll get many 5-stars, stuff like that, because it's still Colorado, right? You're still going to the cold, into the mountains and stuff like that. So I think it'll be a tough sell for those 5-stars, but I think they can do pretty well in the transfer portal. Deion can sell up sell up the dream, stuff like that. And I think, he has the potential to be good. I mean, we just don't really know. He's just so inexperienced, I guess, coaching that we just don't really know. But he seems to really know what he's doing. And, it'll be interesting to see how long he stays at Colorado, how quickly they improve, because they can't get worse. That's the thing, right? He's not taking over a great team. So I guess he'll be able to, even if he's not like a truly really great coach, he'll be able to hide it, pretty well, because he's taking over such a shitty team that you're basically starting from nothing, right? So, you can't really go down. You can only go up. So any small improvement, he should definitely get credit for. But I definitely, it's an interesting hire, and I don't see why people are so mad. Just, people always worry about other people's money, right? Especially like on Twitter, right? All these people, they're always worried about everybody else's money instead of worrying about themselves. So I think people should just worry about themselves. Let Dion do whatever he wants. He's a grown man. And, that's really, all I have to say about that. I did just see, speaking of, we didn't really talk college basketball, but Kiefer said Chris Beard got arrested, I saw last night.
Whoa.
For felony assault on a family member. So I think he'll be out for quite a while. So that might throw a wrench in some of Texas's plans. He got arrested for a third-degree felony, choking a family member out, basically.
Oh my God.
So
yeah, we didn't talk.
I actually read these comments on Twitter. Someone wrote, he got arrested for choking, and someone goes, choking seems to be big with all the Longhorns teams.
Oh, good. And you're right. I didn't. I did not talk about college hoops, and that's shame on me. Obviously, as you know, season ticket holder, diehard UConn fan. Two daughters, one graduated, one's a freshman there. As I have said, and I've tried not to get into a Twitter war in college hoops. He flipped the team. He had Sonogo come back. He had Jackson come back. Had a couple players come back, but he brought in some big-time players that were – listen, this team was supposed to be good in February and March. I never saw this coming this early in December. We started the year playing some cupcakes. On Thanksgiving, they beat Oregon by 28. They beat Alabama by 15. They beat Iowa State by 13. Then they go beat Oklahoma State by double digits. They're a freight train right now. And they were fifth going into this week. I don't know where they'll be ranked. Obviously, I think they'll be top three. What have you seen? Any luck? How you been hitting them in college hoops? What are your eyes telling you?
Yeah, I think I told you last Monday that UConn will destroy Florida, right? That O'Connell Center mystique is not even there anymore. Billy Donovan left and took the program with him. I've been doing good in college basketball this year. I mean, I think I went 0-3 yesterday, but outside of that, I mean, we've pretty much been rolling along all year. I mean, I think the last 3 weeks I can count on one hand how many losing days I've had. So it's been a good run for max plays. Had a 3-unit play on Saturday with Kansas, Missouri over that flew over pretty quickly. And, I'm having fun this college basketball season. Like your team, UConn, is doing well. I think the Hurricanes this year, 10-1.
Yep.
Right. They've only got one loss since they lost to Kansas in the Elite Eight. I mean, what do they have to do to get ranked? They're beating good teams. They just beat NC State. Right. Their only loss is to Maryland. But they beat NC State. They're beating a lot of good teams. So hopefully they'll get the respect this week and actually get ranked. I think college basketball, what talking about like irrelevant stuff. I mean, college, I think they only have college basketball rankings these days just for TV ratings, so they can say the number 5 team versus the number 8 team, right? And number 1 team versus number 7. That's the only reason they have college basketball rankings. Because other than that, it's totally meaningless. I think the Hurricanes ended last year ranked 5th, right? And they didn't lose anybody. They got like a transfer from Kansas State that's really good. They're 10-1 this year, and they're not ranked. I mean, how does that make any sense? So college basketball rankings, I think we need to just totally do away with them. They're just total garbage. And I think this year, I mean, it's pretty much wide open in college basketball. I think, right? We have a lot of really good teams though, like Kansas, UConn. I think this year we don't have to worry about teams like Gonzaga. I think it'll be a nice quick out for Gonzaga when they make the tournament. But like Matt, I saw it was bigger than Creighton. I don't think Creighton's anything. I think Creighton was the most overrated team in the country. Every year it's all Creighton. They're going to be really good, and then they just get you lose to BYU. BYU sucks, and they just lost to BYU.
Four in a row they've lost now.
Not really sold on Creighton. I think they're overrated, and I think there's a lot of very good teams in this country, and I think it's going to be a very interesting March. I mean, you got teams like I like teams like UConn and Kansas, and Alabama and stuff because they can score, right? Like in the crunch time, I don't care how good your defense is. When it comes down to like winning a game and you're down by 5 points with 3 minutes left, you're gonna have a good offense. That's why I think those three teams. I like them over like a Houston who plays lockdown defense, best defense in the country. But Houston, sometimes when they need it, they can't buy a basket. They kind of remind me of UVA was when they lost in the first round of the tournament. If Houston comes out cold, forget it. They're going to score 45 points. They might hold you to 43 or 48, but it's going to be a close game. And I think obviously to win a championship, you have to have an elite offense, but also an elite defense, like we've seen with Baylor and Kansas like last year. So I like, UConn, Kansas. Those teams are really positioning themselves well for March Madness. Arizona as well.
The Ken Palm's got the U right now 43rd in their rankings. Ken Palm, as of this morning, top 10. Number 10, Alabama, 9, Virginia, 8, UCLA, 7, Kansas, Kentucky, 6, Purdue, 5, Texas, 4, Tennessee, 3, Houston, 2, and UConn, number 1. That rolls out their top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you have it. Ken Palm, this is another guy who he's like Sagarin for college football, right?
Exactly. He is.
The guy had like Texas ranked 8th with 4 losses to end the year. Right, I mean, this guy's got Pomeroy's got Alabama 10th. He's got he's got Gonzaga 11th still. Gonzaga's garbage. He's got Arizona behind Gonzaga. He's got, St. Mary's 21st. You've got North Carolina in the top 25 still. He's got Miami behind. 43rd. I mean, give me a break. I mean, it's kind of incredible that Iowa 24th. Iowa sucks, right? It's the same thing every year. So I don't understand why people even look at this. It's just it's an advanced analysis of college basketball. It's just totally useless in my mind. I mean, I never use stuff like this. I'm never let me go. Oh, I'm gonna do tonight's plays. Let me go look and see what Ken Pomeroy thinks. This never. Right, it's just total. I don't even understand how this guy's even in business. To be honest, now that I even look at it, now that I'm looking at these rankings, how is this guy even in business? Right, this guy's got Missouri at 60th. Right, Missouri's 9-1, they're at 60th place. San Diego State, they've been getting smoked lately. Right, Rutgers 32nd, Penn State 30. It's just total garbage. I mean, so this is, I don't understand how this guy even stays in business. I hope he doesn't get paid for this because it's just terrible. The smart guys actually refer to Ken Palm as Xavier at 29th, and I don't care. I could care less. This guy, it might as well be the Ken idiot rankings because this is what I think this guy is. It's a complete moron. I can guarantee you he hasn't watched any of these games this year. Any of them.
And as you says, it is meaningless until March, until the conference championships, until the brackets come out. That's why I haven't started the Twitter war with Matt. He was all in, obviously, on Creighton. They've lost 4 in a row. When they had lost 2 in a row, it was, they're tired. It's sea legs. It is what it is. And listen, I could get out there and start pumping my chest.
He's got St. John's 49th, right?
Have you watched St. John's?
St. John's has an awesome offense, right? They
They
can score.
do. They do.
St. John's on a good day, they can beat UConn easily, right? Like, I mean,
100%.
if St.
100%.
John's is shooting well, they can beat UConn. I mean, so to have St. John's 49th behind Florida Atlantic, I mean, it's just a little disingenuous. And I don't know. Maybe his rankings are just a big joke to him. I don't know. There's no way he can take it seriously. He got New Mexico at 81st. I mean, there's no way New Mexico is that far down the poll. So Dayton 74th. Like, I would take New Mexico 100 times out of 100 over Dayton head to head.
Well,
This guy's complete moron. So I hope you don't even want like Ken Palm. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, might as well make my own rankings. Seriously.
The comical is like when you look honestly, 52nd is Villanova at 5-5. I mean, no Jay Wright. They are just a shell of what they usually are. Again, a lot
dead.
of this, yeah,
they're dead. I mean, they're done.
So a lot of it is just namesake. It's all analytics. It's all numbers. It is what it is. And, it's just a reference point that a lot of people use. He'll come out and for instance, just totally based on numbers, B2B, he'll have like, the predicted final scores for tonight. So the number one game on his board tonight is Creighton and Arizona State. And he's got Creighton winning 70-68. That's what he's got. So he's got Creighton -2, and I'm assuming that's at Arizona State. Is that at Arizona State? It's on a neutral court. And right now, it's up to 3.5, 4. A Creighton team that's lost 4 in a row versus Arizona State. So comical. But anyways, the crawl has been going the whole time, Rob. They can follow you, obviously, on Twitter at Beating the Bookie. We'll try to get these Mondays. Great way to start the week. Tell everyone, A, where to follow you, B, where to get your information, and C, maybe what you got going for the rest of the week, the rest of the year, and the start of 2023.
All right. Yeah, like you said, on the crawler is, Beating the Bookie. That's my website as well. It's my Twitter. I mean, everybody watching, though, probably knows. So you can go on my site. On my Twitter, there's client packages, there's free plays. Got NFL this week. We've got college basketball. We've got NHL. We've got NBA. We've got college bowl season starting Friday with the Bahamas Bowl, my favorite bowl, because I'm half Bahamian, so that's my spot. Bahamas Bowl, I cannot wait for it. I always get some good info from the Bahamas Bowl because all my friends, they all work over there and stuff. So looking forward to bowl season starting on Friday. Looking forward to a profitable bowl season. I got about 10 days before I have to go to New York for Christmas. So I'm looking forward to using the apps while I'm up there. Finally, it's the first Christmas where I'm in New York where I can bet on the app legally. So I cannot wait for that. But besides that, just the same week as it always is, right? It's the same, with this job, every day you wake up, it's the same thing. You just got to find winners. I don't care what sport it is. Just got to go find the winners so you can make people happy. So that's about it.
And I'm glad you say that. It's Groundhog Day. Everyone asks me, what are you doing today? What are you doing tomorrow? It's Groundhog Day. January 1st, 2023 will be our 8-year anniversary here. We came on January 1st, 2015 on the social media, on Twitter. With East Coast Sports Investors, we introduced it to the world. Now we're getting ready for our 8th season, and we're able to work with people like yourself. We're able to talk. We're able to have shows. We're able to bounce ideas off. Met you and Kiefer in March, hoping to see you guys again in Vegas. Maybe take a quick weekend trip down to Florida, down to Miami, South Beach, break some bread there, have some fun there, maybe catch a Panthers game. Who knows?
Stay away from South Beach, but yeah, I mean, Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, sure, that's my spot. And I am friends with the mayor. I just played golf with the mayor on Friday, so that was cool. I played golf with the mayor, and he posted a picture with me. Playing golf with Beating the Bookie. And keep in mind, this is the mayor of a county that's got, I don't know how many million people live in this county, a few million. And he said that he's never posted a picture with somebody. He had so many people texting him out there saying, "Oh, I follow him too. Like, how do you know him?" So that's kind of funny. But yeah, we got to do a show. Maybe if we can wake Dave up early, he can come on the show sometime.
Yeah, I'm gonna start cracking the whip to Mr. Sherapan. We can get the three of us together, Kiefer in the booth, and really start cracking there. So that will be on top of my checklist for 2023. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good. So
from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one, the only B2B at Beating the Bookie, we wish everyone a blessed morning. It's a new week. Have some fun out there, guys. If you're not following, go follow him. Send him a DM, send him an email. He does respond. He's one of these guys with a bazillion followers, but he does answer questions, and he'll gladly do it. So everyone have a great morning, and we will see you later this afternoon.